Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News.
Nobody must make himself a tool of disunity to destroy the peace lifestyle of Ghanaians because of politics, because the consequence will be too much.
This bulletin is coming to you live on the Joy 99.7 FM studios here in Kokomlemle. It's also on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, affiliates across Ghana, including Jubilee Radio in Keta, A1 Radio in Bogatanga, and worldwide at myjoyonline.com. In this edition, opposition NDC to demand forensic audit of 2020 presidential and parliamentary election results as it prepares to contest the outcome of last week's polls in court.
The only thing that the middle point out of the whole thing is for us to do a forensic audit of all the pictures that came to the Electoral Commission.
We'll hear from Tamale Central MP Emefa Apawu, who has also backtracked on earlier calls for John Mahama to form a parallel government and declare himself president-elect. Police service comes under increasing pressure to arrest and prosecute the personnel involved in election day shootings, which left 5 people dead and 17 others injured across the country.
And they killed 1 person in Savulugo, Techima 2. Needless bloodshed.
That all the recorded incidents are currently being investigated in line with our criminal justice and rule of law procedures.
We'll hear and bring you details as the UN and Occupy Ghana condemn the violence that characterized the polls. As Parliament resumes today, we'll tell you about the big shots within the NPP and NDC who will not be returning to the House, and speak to a political analyst on what may have accounted for their losses, and much later.
This week, election. Now, you the sound of election. Parties are who were contesting, and everybody was prevented. And the easy declares NPP. Now, my JM, then the fancy.
We'll hear all about the rapper who is attracting the youth to political issues with his rap music. More from Amirado later in the bulletin. I am Emefa Apawu. Please stay for details. This is your election headquarters in association with Petrosol, clean fuel in full quantity, Cowbell Coffee, taste it, love it, McDan Shipping and Logistics Limited, your total logistics partner, Padeva Limited, your home of modern furniture, DDP Outdoor Limited, 7 great brands, Festiva, adding flavors to your life, Utriya Lottery, star 787 hash, Ghana's premier and biggest jackpot lottery, and Hepa Plus mixture for your general well-being. This afternoon, the opposition NDC has hinted it will demand a forensic audit of the 2020 presidential and parliamentary election results as it prepares to contest the outcome of last week's polls in court. Although the leadership of the party, which describes the EC's results as a stolen verdict, had indicated it will exercise all options for redress, it has shied away from discussing its legal options. But Member of Parliament for Tamale Central, Emefa Apawu, says the party will demand a forensic audit of the election when they go to court. He spoke on Prime Morning on the Joy Prime channel.
Don't you think that if we all agree that, look, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has won convincingly, and that John Dramani Mahama is just a sour loser. John Dramani Mahama is saying that, no, I won the elections. I have pink sheets that should have won the elections. Don't you think that the middle point out of the whole thing is for us to do a forensic audit of all the pink sheets that came to the Electoral Commission?
Mr. Apawu also said the NDC has no intention of forming a parallel government and declaring John Mahama as president-elect. In an earlier interview on Accra-based TV station, he encouraged former President Mahama to form a parallel government and declare himself president. But the Tamale Central legislator says it was simply his opinion and does not represent his party's position.
Of people, the idea is not new. I mean, if you go and read Apia Kente's book, River in the Sea, I mean, when they lost the 1992 elections, MPP contemplated forming, Aduboahene contemplated declaring himself president and forming a parallel government. They had even secured premises in Cote d'Ivoire. But the idea is not totally new. But he did not. But he did not. But who says NDC is going to? Who says NDC is going to? I mean, that's a feeling I expressed, that's a view I expressed. That view is not original. That in 1992, that view was expressed by no less a person than, Apia Kenten, who was a lawyer, industrialist, entrepreneur, politician. He wrote it in his book, The Rivers in the Sun. I can say that I got the first idea that
someone can do that. Isn't it a threat to our peace?
Well, So that is a view. First of all, let's understand that the view is not original. It's in Appiah Kentin's book, Rivers in the Sea, published in July 2010. Those who have not read should go and read it. They didn't carry through the threat of forming a parallel government. No one says that NDC is going to carry through the threat of forming a parallel government. But that was a view that was expressed then. That's the view that I've expressed now. Okay? Now, is it a threat to our peace? It could be. In that book, they said, the Appiah Kentin said it could lead to civil unrest. Yes, so now too, if that thing is done, it could lead to civil unrest. So you must contemplate that. And so was it?
That's Inusa Fuseni, Tamale Central MP there, speaking to my colleague Daniel Dati on the Joy Prime morning. This is the Midday News. I'll take you to Parliament now, where MPs are today dressed in red and black to mourn what they say is the death of democracy in Ghana. They say they are also mourning the death of 5 Ghanaians during the just ended polls. Now, as the House resumes sitting today following the December 7 elections, Minority Spokesperson on Foreign Affairs Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa insists the NDC won a majority of 138 seats in the next parliament. My colleague Joseph Opoku-Gakpo joins us on the line. So how is the majority responding to the claims of the minority?
They're also insisting that, as the AC has put out, they are clear in their minds that the former MP will join them additionally to the 137 seats they have already, and they again are confident that they will win the Senate West seat and end up forming the majority here in the House. But obviously, they disagree with the position that is being espoused by Mr. Okudzeto-Ablakwa and his colleagues on the minority side, who are all in red and black, and are insisting that this is part of their protest effort against the results of the elections that was declared by the
So let's talk about happenings in the House today, what is expected in the House. I'm sure you have a business order. What exactly does it say?
As advertised, sitting was supposed to begin at 10, but as we speak, that hasn't happened yet. I gather that the speaker is around. A while ago, the majority leader, Clement Abosu, walked into the chamber, even as the indication is given that even from now, the House will be beginning sitting. The first thing they'll be dealing with would be welcome addresses by both the leaders and as well as the speaker. And then there are a number of items on the agenda, including the anti-money laundering bill and the public-private partnership bill that the House will begin dealing with before the Christmas break.
That's my colleague Joseph Opoku-Gakpo there. Well, several big names, mainly from the governing New Patriotic Party and some from the National Democratic Congress, will not return to the 8th Parliament after losing their seats in the December 7 elections. Prominent among these legislators are Minister for Planning, Professor Jan Balfour, and Minister for Local Government, Haji Alima Mahama. Shortly, we'll speak to Dr. Kwame Asasante, a political scientist, on what may have accounted for these losses. But first, here's Kwekwe Sante with a report on these MPs who lost their seats.
Several prominent members of parliament will not be returning to the House after the current session ends after losing their seats. Perhaps the most shocking is the defeat of Wenchi MP and Minister for Planning, Professor George Jan Balfour, who lost to the NDC's Saidu Haruna with an almost 3,000 vote margin. Wenchi is the hometown of Professor Buzia, one of the founding fathers of the NPP, and has been a safe seat for the NPP since its creation in 2004 until this year. Local Government Minister Hajia Alima Mahama, who was charged with spearheading the local level elections, lost her Nalerigu seat to Isifu Saidu of the NDC and will not be returning to the 8th Parliament. MP for Lejekuku and Deputy Health Minister Dr. Bernard Okoboy, touted as a rising star within the NPP, was defeated by the NDC's Benjamin Aiku, a businessman. In Damongo, Minority Spokesperson on Energy Adams Mutawakilu failed in his bid to retain his seat. He was beaten by a Deputy Chief of Staff, Samuel Abujinapo. The front seat of the NPP in the chamber will not be the same, as First Deputy Chief Whip Matthew Nyindam has been kicked out of Parliament. Daniel Nsala Wakpal of the NDC will now represent the people of Pandai. Tough-talking Deputy Defence Minister Derek Odro will also not return to Parliament. He lost his seat to the NDC's Joseph Kwesi Mensah. Another bigwig of the NPP, Daniel Niikwate Titus Glover, was defeated in his bid to retain the Tema East seat. The NDC's Isaac Ashai Odampton emerged winner, even though he was arrested a few days to the polls. Former Tourism Minister Catherine Afeku also lost her Evalue Ajomoro Jura seat to the NDC's Kofi Aku Nokoi. Deputy Attorney General Joseph Penka will also not be returning to the Parliament as he lost his seat to Lydia Lamisi Akamvareba of the NDC. In all, 33 NPP MPs have lost their seats, whilst 15 from the NDC side will also not return to the 8th Parliament, which begins from 7th January 2020.
Well, Dr. Kwame Asante is a senior lecturer at the Department of Political Science at the University of Ghana. Join us with some perspective to this. Thank you very much for your time here on the Midday News. Some big names, and if their contribution to this particular parliament is anything to go by, it appears that the 8th parliament will never be the same. What do you think would have accounted for this huge defeat?
Yeah, good afternoon, my sister. There are a number of factors that contributed to the phenomenon we are witnessing today. One is the fact that from look of things, the number of people who have voted out of parliament, especially ministers and deputy ministers, is an indication that government, machinery at the national, regional, and constituency levels getting to the election were not effective. Because, why am I saying that? If you look at governance, there is always incumbency advantage that government leverage on. The government DCs, MMDCs, they carry out projects in the area for people to see. Government is able to do a lot of programs that opposition is not able to do that. So, on the basis of all these things, if the government ministers are swept out of parliament, then it tells you that the government system at the constituency level, regional and national level, really was ineffective.
Well, You can complete that.
Yeah. Another factor also is lack of attention to issues that border the country at the national level, regional level, and constituency level. It means that the people did not pay attention to specific issues at constituencies. There are constituency-specific issues that define a given people.
But Dr. Asante, to the extent that these specific issues, for some, is just attending outdoorings and funerals, it appears that there's nothing that these MPs can do that will satisfy their constituents. They can't satisfy them all, can they?
It is not true, because there are a lot of issues that border on the life of people in the constituency that they did not pay attention. Because if they had paid attention to it, why would the people having had the opportunity of getting MPs attending to their needs and all that and voting against them? It means that something was wrong there. If you look at, there was also an overemphasis on free SHS as opposed to the other issues that affect the Ghanaians in this country. Research has shown that economic issues are very important to the ordinary man when they are voting. Look at MPP coming to office. The economy was down and they fixed the economy. And we had very little during the campaign. Another issue is employment. Look at creating jobs for young people and all that. MPP did so well there. But we had very little in the campaign. All right. Issue of corruption. You remember before election, they brought the Airbus issue against NDC. During the campaign, they did not bring this issue up. So one is tempted to believe that then the issue is not true and all that. So when you look at all these things, you realize that they fell on their own dagger.
Okay. Well, we're grateful for your time. This is a conversation we'll definitely have subsequently. That's Dr. Kwame Asante, a senior lecturer at the Department of Political Science at the University of Ghana. Let's stay a while longer in the election headquarters. And this time with a focus on the Ghana Police Service, because they're coming under increasing pressure to arrest and prosecute their personnel involved in election day shootings, which left 5 people dead and 17 others injured across the country. Now, despite the police's insistence that all perpetrators will be brought to book, the United Nations and some civil society organizations, including Occupy Ghana, say failure to prosecute will create a culture of impunity. We'll hear from them shortly, but first, Arabakum Singh has details of those that were killed during the December 7 elections.
Sounds of gunshots by police and military personnel in Techiman South in the Bono East region, where members of the NDC refused to accept the EC's declaration of the MPP parliamentary candidate as winner of the polls there. 2 people died in the melee that followed. In Savelugu in the northern region, where MPP supporters raised concerns of infractions such as overvoting at some polling stations, 1 person, a teenager, was killed following the outbreak of violence.
Even in Savulugu, they started shooting at the Savulugu police station. They stood their grounds. I asked Idris Ngumbiankpang to stay in if it meant even dying with the last bullet, so that the evidence is shown. When it was counted, the NDC won. And they killed one person in Savulugu, Techima 2. Needless bloodshed.
In Odododio, which was long identified as a major hotspot, 2 people died following disagreements over the results there. The police service had admitted that at least 5 lives were lost in this process.
I wish to assure all Ghanaians that all the recorded incidents are currently being investigated in line with our criminal justice and rule of law procedures, and that the outcome of the investigations will be duly brought to the notice of the good people of this country.
Inspector General of Police James Opombweni there ending Arabic Crimson's report. Now the Special Representative of the UN Secretary General and Head of the United Nations Office for West Africa and the Sahel, Dr. Mohamed Ibn Chambers, is calling on authorities in Ghana to investigate and hold accountable personnel of the security agencies who shot and killed some persons during the elections held earlier last week. Now, in a statement released by his office, he also called on the 2 main political parties, NPP and NDC, to respect the peace pact they signed prior to the elections. Here are extracts of the statement he issued.
Mohamed Ibn Chambers stated the peaceful and orderly conduct of voting despite challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic and concerns with political vigilantism is demonstrative of the commitment of political actors, national institutions, civil society organizations and the public at large to deepen democracy and to preserve peace and stability in the country. He stated, regrettably, the post-voting period has been marked by isolated incidents of violence which have led to the loss of lives. He condemns the violence and expresses his condolences to the bereaved families. He calls on the Ghanaian authorities to investigate these incidents and hold the perpetrators accountable in line with Ghana's commitment to guaranteeing the respect of human rights and the rule of law. As results have been announced by the Electoral Commission, he calls on the 2 main parties, the New Patriotic Party and National Democratic Congress, to respect the Peace Pact signed on 4th December 2020, in which they are committed to seek redress through constitutional and legal means for any electoral grievances.
Now, pressure group Occupy Ghana says the brutality and unjustified use of deadly force by the security personnel against those whom they swore to protect is unacceptable and criminal. They've issued a statement and my colleague Maxwell Agbagba joins me with a copy of it. What are the details, Max?
Well, it says Occupy Ghana is gravely disappointed, deeply appalled and extremely alarmed at the incidents and rise of electoral violence which has reportedly led to the deaths of some Ghanaians. It says we strongly condemn these acts of violence and demand a full investigation into them and the arrest and prosecution of those involved. It continues to say that we regret that similar acts of electoral or other politically inspired violence in time past have not led to any prosecutions, which may have helped create a culture of impunity where people have believed that they can get away with it. These do not speak well of a peace-loving country like ours, which is building an enviable credential in electoral processes in Africa. In our still fragile democracy, we must, with one accord, stand against anyone who calls for or engages in violence. It continues to say that it's even more regrettable when this violence is unleashed by our security agencies. It ends by saying, by urging the security forces to exercise the highest levels of restraint when dealing with the public. It says brutality and unjustified use of deadly force against those whom they swore to protect is unacceptable and criminal.
Portions of that statement from Occupy Ghana. Meanwhile, Chairman of Parliament's Defence and Interior Committee, Sethi Champon, says President Akufo-Addo has asked the IGP to deal with the issues expeditiously.
It is quite very sadly to realize that we've lost life through this very peaceful exercise we ever held as a people. It saddens me. However, the onus lies on us, leadership, who incite our followers to do some of these things. It is not justifiable. I would also admonish leadership in everywhere in Ghana to live as expected role models and not just misguide and mislead people into us having such difficulties. So crime investigation would lead us into making sure we offer redress. So the police service is seriously at the matter. The president has asked and requested them to ensure that this comes up quickly, because we wouldn't want to travel into the next administration with any matter lying unattended to. And I understand that they are seriously working on it. And definitely we will find out call for more information.
You heard there Sethi Champong, his chairman of Parliament's Defence and Interior Committee. This is the Midday News. Our top story so far: opposition NDC to demand forensic audit of 2020 presidential and parliamentary election results as it prepares to contest the outcome of last week's polls in court. We've also heard from Tamale Central MP Nusaf Hussein, who has backtracked on earlier calls for John Mahama to form a parallel government and declare himself president-elect. When we return...
This week, election. Now you hear the sound of erection. Parties are who were contesting. And everybody was prevented. And that's easy declare NPP. Now my JM then the fancy.
We'll hear all about the rapper who is attracting the youth to political issues with his rap style. More from Amirado later after the break.
Charlie, this bro, dear. We're going to make every moment special. Whether it's
I see you, Kipo.
There's more than enough drama series to bond over. There is something to keep you.
What are we doing today, man?
Endlessly entertained. You won't miss the action between.
Nobody will be better. Ronaldo or Messi.
You know, go fit to rescue you from Auntie's questions. So
You said when you get married now.
That will give you ideas. Choose DSTV this holiday season and make it your moment for only 45 Ghana cedis per month. DSTV, it's your moment.
This bulletin is live in the Volta region on Jubilee Radio Keta, Volta Premier and Kekali Radio in Ho, Lolonyo FM in Hohoi, Pando FM in Pando, Fafa Radio in Joje, Radio Hogba in Angloga, Klenam Radio Bato, Victory FM Apawu. In the Eastern region, we're on K-Poly Radio in Kofrodia. In the Northern region, we're on Bishara Radio, Radio 123 and Radio Justice in Tamale. And in Savannah region, we're on Inkelege FM in Bole. In the Upper East region, we're live on A1 Radio and Dreams FM in Bogatanga and Radio Fumbese in Fumbese. In Upper West, we're live on Radio Sonmale in Wa, Radio Freed in Nandom, Radio Wa in Wa, and Bolu FM in Bolu. In the Bono East region, we're on Gaskia FM in Techiman. In Bono region, we're on Sky FM and Parrot FM in Sunyai. Central region, we're live on ATL FM in Cape Coast. And in the Western region, we're on Radio Max in Takrady.
Thanks for staying with us here on the Midday News. Now, 4 journalists were attacked before during the general elections. Now, this revelation by the GJA, though not the first witnessed in this country, was brutal and should be condemned. President of the association, Afilmoni, says 3 of those attacked are in critical condition and 1 was operated on last week. He's urging media practitioners not to be intimidated over the attacks, whilst asking members to pursue the highest form of circumspection in their work.
In previous occasions, journalists were brutalized, but the number and the magnitude of injury are unprecedented. One of the perpetrators is facing justice, and we live in a dispensation of rule of law. And in the side dispensation, anybody who willfully finds himself or herself the wrong side of the law should be made to taste biting edge of the law. So we expect a lot to bite hard on such perpetrators, and this to give us a ray of hope that the laws work. Again, when it goes to all political actors not to claim or attempt to hit mayhem on journalists, because an attack on one journalist is an attack against all journalists.
Roland Afilmoni is president of the Ghana Journalists Association, speaking on the Joy News desk on the Joy News channel. Now, a Power FM presenter, Heniba Boama, accused by the Criminal Investigations Department of insulting and issuing series of threats to President Akufo-Addo, is currently at the CID headquarters waiting to be interrogated by personnel there. Some NDC lawyers, including top party officials, are with him as he's expected to assist police with investigations. Maxwell Agbagba joins me with a copy of that invitation letter addressed to his employers. What does it say?
Well, the letter signed by the Director General of the CID, I.K. Yeboah, says on 9th December 2020 at 10:41 a.m., Oheneba Boama recorded a live video on his Facebook page, in which he was heard insulting and issuing a series of threats to the President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. This same video was shared on 10th December 2020 at 12:54 p.m. He continued to say, we would appreciate if you could release the aforementioned person to report to the CID headquarters, 4th floor, room 13, on Monday, 14th December 2020 at 10 o'clock a.m. to assist with investigations. Emefa.
Thank you very much, Maxwell Agwegba. Let me take you to the Western region now, where NPP executives in the Sikado Kitten constituency have dared the NDC to prove the allegations of fraud during the 7th December polls at the appropriate quarters. They've been speaking at a press conference where Ina Thalia Kwanzaa has been monitoring. She joins us on the line. Ina, what exactly are the details?
Well, so the NPP executive says that the NDC are making some allegation in the public that the parliamentary seat for Iskado was won by the NPP through a fraudulent means. They are saying that if they think they really rigged the election, they should go to the appropriate quarters because they won the seats by 99 polling stations, and the Iskado constituency had 154 polling stations.
Well, but have we heard from the NDC side, because Dr. Ayensu had raised some concerns about the polls, have we heard from them since this NPP press conference?
We are yet to hear from them, but I understand they had a press conference earlier claiming that they had won the election, but the EC, together with the NPP, had rigged it for the incumbent member of parliament, Joe Gatti.
Ina Thalia Kwanzaa there, reporting from the Western region. Let's hit the roads now. It's time for Arrive Alive campaign, and the National Road Safety Authority says 44 people were killed through road traffic accidents during the 2020 electioneering season. The 2016 elections recorded the same figure. The only difference is that this time road crashes resulting from electioneering activities shot up by 55%. David Osafo-Adonting is Director of Planning and Programs.
Before the voting day itself, quite a number of crashes were related to political party membership and leadership. Some of them even lost their lives. After the declaration of the result, we had a couple of the crashes. People jubilated. And I know, and I can remember that we were very emphatic on the jubilation aspect. That when results are declared, in the past we have seen people jubilating beyond control. You see, the kind of jubilation is said that if we don't control it, then we come up with this kind of figures.
That's for Arrive Alive, brought to you by the National Road Safety Authority with support from Toyota Ghana, Logistics Movers, and the Joy News Drive Safe campaign. And there's this man that is making all the news. He's all over the place. When it comes to topical issues, he raps about it. What's he rapping about this time, Amarado?
Okay, Amarado has a show called Yetensem, right? And he took a break for a week after his 26 episodes. And his 27th episode is about everything elections, before, during, and after. I think you'd want to take a listen.
Okay.
This week, election. Now, you just sound of election. Parties are who were contesting. And everybody was prevented. And that's easy to declare NPP afa. Now, my JM, then the fancy before short tail or bantam, my colony make copy call ball. I want look now. As a Russian community P90, but you could be in India, Nigel Gazy. I'm going to predict a win for the NDC. Most of the Yaboni and Musin Yamadan who had Samijan Fibroki hat channel before elections, and I'm not there. No, Madame Esla Blakuma for Shan and enough for no crown for Mossad Legend in our way. When Dumelo to take gata, as we didn't about to an Siaga. Mama Lydia, when a banter, John Dumelo, then kind of Cononom Fanta. Chirabos say politics were jive. Broken heart at Chino were white. On one church members, a beyond 2 minutes were detailed to pay what try. Now let me break down the results. NPP, NDC, and a mini EC. Your detailed your boom. If you don't come, I mean that one in a BP. Greater crack results. Mahama Chana saw your boss. 1,326,000 plus he forced. Northern region he won. Vote and new things so he won. Eastern Western Ashanti Akufo-Addo Miane Mane who saw our form. Ashanti 1,795,800 for the NPP, NDC, and boss one Omokoye press conference. When imagine you close, Obiama open and blows. Pulling off a Sabako counting 19 to 100 a bond to oh. After EC declare you solo coup.
Wow. Do you know solo coup?
I know Solo could do it for me.
Hey, please, people are watching. Please, I'm a respectful person. please.
But if you do solo good, there's nothing wrong with it.
Hey, okay.
But of course, there's something also trending on Twitter.
So Gmail, YouTube, Google Docs, and other services go down simultaneously in multiple countries. A lot of people have been talking about that. We currently don't know what the problem is, but a lot of people seem to think that, COVID-19 also got a hold of the servers. So YouTube, you can't access YouTube. Some people are happy because, they've been studying online and then they write their tests via Google Docs. So one person tweeted that, thank you for saving me from writing my test.
So at least you have some more time
to
submit their test.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mapito, and good to see you again. And that's it for the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. After this break, we have Pastor Menso Chabil with Living Word, Christ, the bread of life.